encourage your soul, enlighten your mind, and empower your faith. This is the Light Network. If you want to be a serious Bible student, a successful servant, and a powerful preacher, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Preachers in Training. My name is Robert Hadfield, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things preaching and ministry. This is Season 12, Episode 2. Our topic for today, producing digital content. Is that something you've been doing lately? I think we all have. Thanks to the coronavirus, I wasn't sure we'd even still be talking about that as we took our break for the summer and came back to this season, but lo and behold, here we are. Here to help us discuss that very subject is one Richard Harp, who's joining us today. He's back again. He's been here before. Joining us today from the Birmingham, Alabama area,
Robert.
The Deerfoot congregation. Hey, brother, welcome back.
Man, it's great to be back. I'm honored, especially with this discussing this platform. But I do feel inadequate to discuss it. As you mentioned, have we all become televangelists overnight?
Except for like the constant please for contributing or something. Write a check and your crops will grow. I don't know.
Spit out the bones.
We were talking before the show started that preaching to a camera is hard. We'll get into that, I'm sure, in a minute. I'm sorry, you were saying.
No, I was thinking about how actually I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he said that he didn't want to go video for a long time because there was that televangelist persona, but coronavirus has caused us to, as a result, all have to. So you don't even have to worry about it, and so that's been a blessing as well. Just be all in.
Oh, that's true. So there were some barriers or maybe some preconceived notions that we had about some of this. I've talked to many preachers who said they were kind of resisting this. They kind of felt like it was something they needed to be getting into. And coronavirus happened and it was like, well, now I have to.
Well, and I also feel technologically like an idiot,
Really?
So just to be blatant about it.
Yeah.
And so this has been a learning experience for me as well. I think, because of our age, I think some have thought, well, you should just know, but I've enjoyed it. That's why I'm saying I'm humbled and honored that you've asked me to discuss this specific topic.
Well, I'm excited about it. Some people may not be aware that for the majority, this is my perspective, and you're going to give us some insights on all this in a minute, but for almost the entirety of this coronavirus thing, it seems like you've been producing what are they daily messages?
Daily messages.
Video on social media. And I've been seeing these. What's the average length of them? A couple of minutes, 2 or 3?
The average minute is about length about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The most has been about 3 minutes 20. Because it was a really important point to be made. So they're very short. We call it the morning message, and it's a Be Kind series.
There you go. So all of these videos that you've been doing for how many months now?
Since March.
Okay.
We've been doing this, and I think we got to jump on it because my sister and brother-in-law are missionaries in Cambodia. Mm-hmm. And my twin sister, she contracted this back a long time ago. And
really?
We knew how serious it was back then.
Yeah.
And so I had sent you may have seen it. I can't even remember where it was produced, but it was a 10-point guide for elderships to handle pandemic.
Yes.
And I sent that to our elders. Well,
that
was in
back
February.
Then, whenever that was. February.
Yeah,
okay.
February.
And see, for me, silly me, February, I don't know if I've even heard of coronavirus. If I had, I thought, that's not one of those things we'll be worried about.
Right. Well, when I saw that she was getting it, I think at that time you're seeing things like, China was stopping certain people from coming to, into Beijing, and you're sort of like, what in the world is happening?
Right.
And I may be wrong on that. I thought it was February, like late February, that I sent that to the elders.
Okay.
And one of it may have been early March, but one of the elders said, hey, it took a while. And he came to me, he said, hey, in that 10 bullet point list of things the elders could do, it said, have your preacher write a daily blog article.
Oh.
And I guess I missed that one. And he said, would you be willing to do a daily blog article? And I said, see, my wife actually runs healthychristianhome.com, and she does a weekly blog article. It takes her a week to put that thing together.
Yeah.
And I just thought, to do it right, there's no way I could do a daily one.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but I could do a video, like a morning video.
Now, had you done much in the way of this kind of thing, like creating videos, that sort of thing?
I had not created video, except that you and I were talking about Dennis Washington, and he does a lot of video for Lads to Leaders, for a lot of our youth conferences. And so he's one of our deacons. And so he and I had started Plant and Water. And so we've been doing video, and I've literally just been learning from Dennis. And so that's why I felt comfortable. Hey, I could just do an individual video myself using what I've already learned, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
And that's how that started. So it was, that's why it's a blessing to have an eldership that is concerned for the flock and wants to make sure that we're daily concerned, for our flock, and how can we, create content that will reach people, and online was the best option and has continued to be.
Yeah. It's so easy these days to do it, first of all, than it used to comparatively. And then everybody's already there. So it's like the crowd is already gathered. All you have to do is walk into the room, which is kind of a nice thing.
You're exactly right. You don't have to drum up any support.
Well, let's back up a little bit on that note and philosophize a little bit as we get into this, because there is a difference, right, between preaching in person, maybe even preaching during a worship service, versus what might be preached and the method by which we would preach on social media and that sort of thing. Let's start generic and then hone in a little bit, zoom in and get a little more detailed. But your philosophy in general about social media, how do you use it? Clearly you think it's a good thing. Clearly you're a part of it. We've already established that. But any other thoughts you have on that, just as we sort of begin to frame our discussion?
Well, I would say the philosophy is, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Mm-hmm. I think letting your light shine, you think about, we do that in our daily walk. Well, where's our daily walk? Well, it's been in our houses lately. So our daily walk has been digital in nature. And so we let our light shine on social media before men, society. Where's society? So social media platforms. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So that they may see your good works. That's every single thing you post, like, share. Mm. That is, then the result would be that they give glory to your Father who's in heaven. So that causes me, like what you've asked as a philosophy, that causes me to say, okay, do I need to like this? Mm-hmm. Do I need to share this? Do I need to post this? And because I realize I am representing my Father who is in heaven. And that has been a philosophy since 2005, when I first got onto Facebook, and so I boycotted Facebook for a year because I was in college. We were next door.
Yes, we were. Yes. Brigands. Oh, in the brig. That's right.
In the brig.
That's right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm in the brig, and I was talking. I guess we were sharing that wall.
Yes. Yes, we were.
And it's kind of funny. We're sharing a digital wall at the moment. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But I walked down the hall because I was talking to somebody probably 3 doors down from you. Mm-hmm. And it was Josh Reed.
Okay.
If you recall.
Yeah.
But I realized he's in his dorm, and I'm in my dorm, and so he asked me a question, and I walked down the hall and I answered. It's like being at the table and saying to my wife, "Could you please,
pass the salt?"
Same idea. And I was like, "I'm done with this. This is not. I'm going face to face, not face to book." Anyway.
Wow.
But now this is really what we need to be, using for the Lord. Satan's got it most of the time. And so we can bring light rather than darkness. And I think that's got to be, I think Scripture gives us the philosophy.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of got into that a little bit with what you just said about how Satan seems to have the majority of the hold on social media in general. What makes social media, and I guess we're probably specifying Facebook for the purposes of this discussion, right? We know that there are others. We know that they're all viable, but Facebook seems to be the one where the majority of people are. So maybe we ought to focus there.
And that's why I've limited it mainly to that.
Okay, gotcha. What makes that a good platform for preaching specifically?
Well, it's because it's where the people are.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, from, my grandparents are on Facebook. I mean, I remember, my, the man he was a confidant for me. He was a mentor for me growing up through the Last Leaders program. He was my oldest Facebook friend at 98 years old.
Wow.
And of course he had been a typist, so he knew, how to that. And so from that all the way down to the youngest, now our younger generations are not getting on it as much.
Right.
But for the most part, we're able to reach a lot more people through Facebook. Just social media, it's been a blessing to be able to reach people in their pocket.
Yeah.
Because of their phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does preaching in the pulpit differ from preaching on Facebook, for example?
Well, I think it's the expectation. If that's where my first thought is on that, it's when I go to Facebook, I'm scrolling up.
Yeah.
And I'm just maybe spending some time, just seeing what are my friends up to, what are the notifications, and I am not spending time going to it to stop for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But when I'm coming to worship God, I am giving God my time purposefully to spend time in worship to Him. And so with that comes, a time for being devoted to Scripture via a sermon. And so I find people will generally be more apt to listen to a longer sermon during a Sunday in a building, as opposed to a video on Facebook. So that's going to change the approach. It has to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. Some people bemoan efforts like this. What are we really going to accomplish by preaching on social media? It's so negative anyway. Or maybe to your point, what's the likelihood people are actually going to stop and watch it? Sometimes we get real excited because, our videos may get several hundred views, and then we realize that Facebook counts that even if I stop on it for just a few seconds and then keep scrolling. What's the goal there?
Well, there's some algorithms you can get through Facebook, especially, let's see, we could go all over the place with this. Want to make sure it's relevant. If I shared it from my Facebook page, my personal Richard Harp Facebook page, Facebook's going to allow it to reach a lot of people organically, because I'm I'm my own person. If I do it from the church's Deerfoot Church of Christ Facebook page, they want you to pay money to share that. Mm-hmm. So I purposely started on my personal page to share them, and we were getting 35, 36 shares in 2 days on one of the videos.
Yeah.
And because friends shared it, and then their friends shared it, and it was creating getting a really great reach from that. But on my personal page, I can't see what people are watching, so I can't tell if it was just from someone having to stop for 5 seconds or not. Well, now that we've started that, now I'm posting them from the Deerfoot Church of Christ page, and the same people are coming over to the Deerfoot Church of Christ page. We're getting just as much organic reach as we were before, but we're also boosting them 2 a week within the 30-mile radius. So the organic reach helps get the gospel to the world, while boosting it allows it to get 30 miles around our area code.
Wow.
So what's neat about it is I can tell who has read it, watched it all the way through. And so it shows me who watched it all the way through, like the full click through, like it, and
through the Boost analytics, right?
Like the Boost analytics.
Yeah.
And so that the Boost analytics provides more than what my personal Facebook page does, right? I think that was succinct in the way that I just described that. I hope that made sense.
Oh, absolutely. So let's just tell, for the sake of those people who may not have done it before, that the Boost is you have to have a page as opposed to your own profile. Correct. So you have a page for that. You can boost any post. And what that means is you're paying some money, depending on how much money you put into it over the amount of time.
$25 per boost.
Okay.
And it's a 24-hour period.
Gotcha.
And I think one click through, if somebody has watched it all the way through, it charges me 3 cents.
Wow.
For that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but it also charges per comment. It charges per like. That's why when people say like and share, if you do it without them having to pay money, you have saved them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you have content, like it and share it, because Facebook will see, hey, this is relevant. We will organically make this be seen by more people, and the gospel is shared further. Yeah. Right. So that's been phenomenal in getting these messages out there, because if not, without that, these would just be a daily video that's not being seen by anybody.
The comments are pouring in even as we're on the episode today. I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah,
so
right.
The Boost thing too. I mean, it is very economic for what, to your point. You're $25. You're boosting it for 24 hours, and you can actually go in and say, as you said a minute ago, I want this zip code, or I want people that are interested in these subject matters. And the level of granularity that you can get, you can almost specify, an exact. I don't want to use the term stereotype, but here are people who have indicated interest.
The age group that you can reach. You can have it specific, to who you want to reach.
Right.
And
you guys feel that that's effective?
It has been lately. We've been getting people, commenting things like, "Where are y'all located?"
Wow.
"Oh, I know exactly where you are." And what's been neat is the congregation has rallied. We've been getting T-shirts, "Be kind." Our children have gathered river rocks and painted "Be kind" on them and put them all over town. We're investing in a billboard coming in August that says "Be kind." And so the congregation has rallied around this "Be Kind" series, and it started with this elder asking me to do a video, right? And the content, the onus was on me to come up with the content for what the video was. I just literally had, are you willing to do something? And then so it's been a gradual, evolving of this.
So you had sent them 10 things to do in a pandemic, right? Or something like that. Among that was a blog post. And they were like, well, oh, did you know that was there? And you're like, well, I don't know if I could do that every day, but I could do a video. And so that leads to them saying, well, why don't you do a video? Is that kind of the general timeline, the way that went?
And the first one was in my house, and it was like 4 a.m, and it was the Monday morning. I'd woken up. It was like 2 weeks later. I woke up on the Monday, and that's, for some reason, it was the second Sunday that made me realize this is real.
Yeah.
The second Sunday that we were not together.
Yeah. And
it hit me, and I woke up just with a lump in my throat. It was hard. Just think about it now. This has been hard for everybody.
Yeah. Because you mean because we're not meeting?
We weren't meeting.
FaceTime fellowship is all limited. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized just how much, as a result, being with my brothers and sisters, just how much I needed that, and it was gone. And so I wanted to share a video of that, and so I shared it. And I guess it was 4 a.m. and my hair was up. Like I didn't even I wasn't not enough. I don't keep it up, like to keep it prim and proper. I was saying it was like bed hair.
Yeah, right.
And I just it was to our Deerfoot Disciples group. So it was private.
Okay.
It was just to our brethren. And because again, I'm trying to come up with this as I go. And I just said, I miss you all, love you so much. And one of my elders said to me that day, that was a little bit we need it more positive.
Okay.
Right. Because it wasn't helping just to express how much I missed everybody, because we're all in the same boat. And I agreed with what he had to say. And maybe at 4 a.m. I shouldn't have made the decision, And so from then I said, okay, positive. My wife said, well, you just wrote a blog article for me, 31 different verses on kindness. And she said, why don't you go with each verse? And I did a little synopsis of each passage on that article. And I mean, you could go even see that article, healthychristianhome.com. And I took that, and day one of this newfound positivity, now we're going to publicly do the videos, not just privately with our congregation. And I just said, be kind at the very end of it. And it was here in my office. I think I was actually using this little staff here. And I went from this eagle, and I talked about the snake that's on the staff, used it for 3 different lessons and talked about be kind. Well, that one of the members said, I'm loving these morning messages, because I was doing them in the mornings. I was just posting them every morning. Well, that immediately I said, that's a great tagline. I love that. And that then locked it into morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I just randomly had been doing them in the morning because I'm up doing that, right? And so that locked it in the morning message. Okay, great. Now we have a time. We have a positive from another one of my elders, one of our members gives it the time. Well, then, and this is also taking people's feedback and just creating what it needed to be, which caused people to be more invested in it. So then one of the members she said, you should get up out of your office and walk around, like change the background a little bit. And so I went in the back of the church building here, and we had trees, and I read the passages at Genesis 3:8 and said, they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. Well, I was just holding my phone, and I just did this with my phone and showed the trees behind me.
Okay. You sort of panned it around.
They hid themselves among the trees of the garden. And as I said that, you see the trees. And somebody made the comment, I loved seeing the trees as you said they hid themselves among the trees. Another idea. So that was literally how every video from then on had a specific point within the video to where it started preaching before I opened my mouth. Like a parable.
Yeah, that's cool. You're also a very punny person, right? You're
Yes, sir. Yeah. So
I've seen a lot of that come out in your videos.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's neat about it is don't do something that you're not. Don't try to do something that you couldn't do. Like for me, if I were to try to write a blog article every day, if you were to talk to me right now, my eyes would be sunken in, and because I'm not going to do something that's not good content, right? I mean, that I don't feel is good content.
No, I understand.
So I'm going to try to make it good as best I can, and that would stress me out, right? So by doing puns, and for instance, for those who maybe haven't seen them, I just mentioned I had my tripod set up with my phone, and we have a lake, and we've got a tree that goes out over the lake, and there's this big limb, and I started walking out on a limb, and I said, you ever go out on a limb for someone? There's a pun, but it's also an idiom that we use. I'm going out on a limb. I'm going out on a limb for this person. I'm, in essence, sticking my neck out for them. Could have done that with the turtle. That'd been funny. Stick your neck out for someone. But it immediately, it causes a chuckle, and it's that way.
Yeah, and, it's memorable.
Memorable. It's something that I didn't have to say anything, and it's short. Right. So you want to try to say as much in as little time as possible. Parables are the best way, and visually we can create those quickly.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I speak at JCA when we had everything open. Jefferson Christian Academy. I was speaking twice a week at their chapels. And that's when I started doing that for the last 3 years, where I have 7 minutes with the kids. And so I've got to do an object. I want to do an object lesson with every single one of them. Every single lesson has had an object lesson. So that's where that came from as well.
That's cool.
So it's just been borrowing from all of these different things to create this. And so I think that's what's caused them to be, they're fun, but every single one of them has scripture, sometimes a lengthy passage, within each one, to where it's a parable. You don't know it's a lesson until the scriptures are being read. And sometimes there's a sharp statement that we all need to work on, because be kind. Is that not relevant right now?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we wrote the blog article, because of things that were happening. And so it fit perfectly with, well, we're impatient because we're stuck in our houses. Well, we had no idea that the be kind was going to become relevant every single day as the riots take place. As so we've just continued with, we're way past 30 days, on be kind. And there's no end in sight at this point.
This is great. Sometimes when things like this happen, there are some of us who are inclined to overly plan. And we never get anything off the ground because maybe our perfectionistic tendencies or whatever, but we don't really know where it's going. And because of that, we never really even get started. And listen, with when you preach a sermon, you probably should know where you're going before you get started. But with a project like this, I love just how you've allowed it to be somewhat organic, and that you've been vulnerable enough to not only put yourself out there, but also to take constructive criticism from the membership too. And that's helped to make it be as good as it has been.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because when I went out on a limb the first day, one of our members said, "Be careful," on the comments, was scared to death that I'd hurt myself. I had already gone on the roof and talked about when friends that let the lame man down through the roof.
Yes.
I got up on the roof of the church building. And the same person, "Be careful, you're going to die," and anyway, they had a point.
That's
I guess.
hilarious. But, as long as they said it in a kind way, it's okay. That's right.
Maybe not. It was all caps. I was hurt. No, I'm kidding. So the tree limb one, though, that caused me, "You're going to fall." Well, it's out over the lake. And I thought that would have been hilarious if I fell. And I actually almost did in that video. You can see I lose my balance, and I just used it in the lesson.
Yeah.
Well, if I'd have fallen, it's about 5 feet deep right there. Right? Well, I got an idea. Going out on a limb doesn't suit everybody. And that's this individual. He didn't want me to do it. Well, I thought, I'm going to wear a suit. So I walked out on a limb and I said, going out on a limb doesn't suit. I'm wearing a suit.
Hey-o.
Doesn't suit everyone. And I fell into the lake in my suit, full suit, ruined the suit.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruined. Well, and I got my boys involved. I got 8 and 6-year-old. And I said, "All right, boys, I want you to completely cover me from head to toe in mud. Beautifully, beautiful black mud. And covered me from head to toe. And so in the shot, when I fall in, I edit it to where I come on the scene and I'm holding my Bible. Of course, I washed my hands and my Bible was not harmed in the making of this film. And so I said, I'm covered in mud. So it looks like I just fell in and I got covered.
Yeah.
So I said, when we go out on a limb for others, some people are going to sling mud. And so immediately, and I said, we should not respond by slinging mud in return. And so to turn the other cheek, and it created something we all need right now. But it was from a member saying, "Don't fall in," and it created a video. So what's been neat is every day we're doing comments and people are commenting on them. I'm trying to create things that will cause conversation. What passages would you have used in this? Things like that.
Yeah.
And it's creating more content. So the congregation's involvement, for one, they're also waiting to see when is he going to do the one that I recommended.
Yeah, right.
And it's just getting us all working together during a time when we're not able to physically be together, and we need this.
Yeah, that's a fantastic
we needed it, and
idea.
it's been helpful.
Yeah, I love that.
Something to do.
And the congregational aspect of that is something I guess I had probably overlooked because I didn't know the backstory. So that's amazing. That's really great. Tell us about let's maybe nerd out a little bit, just a very little bit about this. But first of all, I'm wondering from a productivity standpoint, how much time are you spending on this a week? Like, in making it. I mean, there's one thing to write the content; it's another thing to go out and shoot it and then edit it and upload it. Do you batch record? Tell me how you're doing that for a daily video message.
Well, let me tell you, if I thought about it in an hourly way,
right.
It'd be so much pressure, it'd be crazy.
I'm sorry. Never mind. I retract the question.
I'm all about killing two birds with one stone. And let me tell you, I've tried to do a video with that. No, I haven't. I'm not going to do that. But I think it's important to allow, when you're doing something, do one thing with one purpose, and then at the same time be able to fulfill another. Right.
Yes.
So, like I would always take my boys with me to go visiting because I'm able to spend time with my boys while visiting with shut-ins.
Yeah.
That's killing two birds with one stone, and not me. It's not taking me away from my family, right?
Yeah.
That one was for free, but but the idea is, I've been able to go visiting with members outside at their homes. Did the video with the bees.
Mm-hmm.
We have a beekeeper in our congregation. Be kind. How natural is that?
You had to do it.
Yeah, well, that came from another deacon saying you should call him, and it created just these. They're helping, right? So, what's been neat is as I've gone to go visit, I've been able to do these messages. We went up to Kentucky to see my family. I did 7 videos on the drive up because I got a map and saw all the different places, and I did that one video with different signs behind me. So I had it mapped out before I went, based on the trip. So I said, what was it? You ever try to make a plan and one thing leads to another, and and your plans fall through and you get moody? Well, on that sign behind my head said Leeds, Alabama, and then I went down below and it was Moody underneath it.
Yeah.
So I'm driving up to Kentucky, but I'm able to do videos along the way, and then I edit them later. So I've been driving on the road and saw a chicken at a Marathon gas station. That's where when we put our necks out there, that can cause fear. There's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. And I said, don't be chicken, be kind. I wasn't planning on that one. I just saw a chicken, and it created immediately, though, having a passage helps it not to be eisegesis and that's definitely nerding out there, but to make sure that it's not, I'm not trying to bend the scripture to fit the example, but seeing the example and saying what scripture fits, that's immediately the scripture and that will work.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not trying to bend something to make it work. And it didn't have.
And I appreciate that too. I'm glad that you brought that up. Sort of unintentional. I was glad that came up organically. I wasn't thinking about that, but we do want to be careful with that. I mean, we want to maintain our integrity in terms of preaching and interpretation. Right.
I've had people give me a picture for a sermon, a background, and saying, "Hey, I can come up with your picture for your PowerPoint." And I said, "I come up with my PowerPoint the last thing." Mm-hmm. Because the picture is going to come from the sermon, not the sermon from the picture. Because I'm going to bend scripture every time to try to make that work. And so that's where I can take Photoshop and I can manipulate a picture and not feel, and I am not breaking God's law.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Manipulate a picture, don't manipulate scripture.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt.
That's it. It's your next series of videos.
Right.
You had be kind, and next you have manipulate a picture, not manipulate scripture. It rolls right off the tongue. Yeah. Hey, so tell us about how you're shooting these. I mean, I assume you're using your phone since it seems like you have your apparatus everywhere you go.
Yeah, providentially, my old phone died right before pandemic.
Wow.
Literally, like before everything shut down. And so I just said, well, we'll upgrade. And we got the iPhone 11. I didn't do the Pro, but my wife, because she does blogging, she needed a really good camera for her blog. And I said, well, we were able to get 2 for 1. So I got 1. Well, it's been a blessing because we also got the highest we could as far as storage
Yeah.
is concerned. Video takes up a lot of storage.
Yes, it does.
So again, Providence, I've been able to shoot really good high definition from, and the reason I go Apple is I have a MacBook Pro. And we did this because the elders saw I needed something that I could help with this plant water that we had done. We've been doing since I've been here. And so it's all coming together where I can put my video on the phone, which I have it set up on a tripod, just a simple tripod. And I take it with me wherever I go. If I see something on the side of the road, I have stopped and done a video. I have probably caused so many people to go, what is that?
What is he doing?
But I have it on my phone. I can go on.
Yeah.
But I have my Bible with me, and I will make sure I keep my Bible and on my phone and a running knowledge of specific things, and I can know immediately go there. And then I can go on and I can edit them later. So I guess all this started from you asking about how much time is going in.
Right.
It does take a lot of time, but it's also something I love. Art. I actually I was going with a double major of Bible and art and pre, and I took a 2D design class, which has been one of the greatest blessings for ministry. Well, I ended up dropping it and stayed with Bible.
Yeah.
Well, I've used that 2D design for that, but I find that creative outlets take me away from ministry sometimes. And I can get sucked into creativity and focus on me being the creator rather than God the creator. That's really kind of deep. But that leads to, I feel like sometimes that's led to guilt, feeling like I'm doing this for a side job or something, and it's pulling me away from God. This has not pulled me, doing these things has not pulled me away, but it's been a creative juice. So any of that time, it's been a recharging thing for me. So it's filled a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I generally stay a week ahead on the video.
Good. Yeah. I like your approach because you're just sort of, you're doing it as you have an opportunity to do it. You've got enough, as you just mentioned, a little cushion ahead of time. So it's not like, it's Friday. What am I going to do for Monday's video or whatever? Right. So that's really good.
Where we started, I was doing it Monday to Saturday.
Okay.
And Sunday, that would cause, and this will bring us to another discussion, but that would cause people to say, okay, there's no video. Oh, Sunday.
Yeah, right.
Worship.
Yeah.
So I had a reason for not doing one on Sunday. I didn't want it to take away from what we're already producing on Sunday morning, right?
Good.
Well, then it was just really challenging to try to find a time to just spend videoing. So Saturday, I just said, you know what? I'm going to do it Monday to Friday. And so have been doing it ever since.
That's great.
And this morning,
Yeah. So when you shoot it on your phone, are you editing it on your computer?
I edit it on my computer. There is something called capwing.com.
Okay.
Capwing.com. KAPWING.com. You could do it all. Just video this and you can upload it to your phone. I found that Capwing has some glitches that if you're willing to spend the time to work through, sometimes when it goes to actually publish your video so you can download it, it changes it. And I found out I don't like that. Cool. I want it to be exactly how I made it.
Right.
And so our youth minister really did a lot with iMovie. Yes. And I had never done really anything with iMovie. And so he showed me a few things. It is very simple. iMovie is better than Capwing.
Yes.
And so I use iMovie. And what's cool is I can go from iPhone to Mac via just pressing a button, and it airdrops and sends a large file, and I don't have to wait to try to get files moved back and forth. That's a big plus.
Yes. And you can share right out of iMovie into whatever platform, or to export to the specific platform that you need, like Facebook.
You can export to Facebook, YouTube, which I do. We have YouTube now, channel within the Deerfoot Church of Christ. Yeah. YouTube channel, a little playlist, Be Kind.
Yeah.
So that's kind of locked it into the topic as well, But yeah, so that's been something that's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Because I've got with my phone with me, and wherever you go, there's a lesson. you know,
that's right.
in it. And so it's just trying to make sure that, you know, and be kind is always there as well. So it's
Right.
something that there's a consistency with that statement.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, every video is creating a large sermon.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, I like that approach.
Mhm.
Your insights on this are really helpful, just because it's more than just I'm churning out content. It's more than I'm creating. You know, I've done whatever 100 videos or whatever daily. It's this is one piece in a larger puzzle that is accomplishing
Right.
something for this moment, and
Right.
that's really good.
Well, I've just been, again, Paul planted, Apollos watered,
Mm-hmm.
but God provides the increase. And neither he who plants or he who waters is anything but God who gives the growth,
Yeah.
right? So the results are in God's hands.
That's right.
His increase is in his hands. And so I think it's also important that there's Apolloses. And so I feel like I'm trying to be Apollos and water
Mm-hmm.
this. And what's been neat is anytime someone has mentioned something, we've been able to incorporate it. Now, sometimes there's going to be times where people, you know, someone made a comment, you should change it from be kind to be something else.
Yeah.
And I've taken that and said, you know what, let's do that next year. Let's have a B series,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so took his comment and we're able to continue to be kind because we're kind of building off of that.
Mm-hmm.
How about we have a B series and just, again, that brings us to I am, you know?
Yeah.
So
I love that.
it's all, as a result, it's all turned to this. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of providence in it. And I think sometimes the tendency is to take hold of something and say, it's my baby and you can't give any feedback.
Yes.
And then you're going to have no people involved and you're going to lose the opportunity. Some of the best videos we've created have been from people's comments that I never would have thought of. And I'm sitting there like a little schoolgirl, like squealing, like, that's amazing. Thank you. You know? And so I think right now trying to facilitate ministry while we're all going, well, we can't door knock. We can't, have you tried to start a conversation with someone with a mask on? I try to do that all the time. I try to have conversations anywhere I go. And I've been trying with a mask and it has been a challenge. I'm not going to stop, but it's been a challenge.
Well, you hardly know if somebobody's talking to you, or they hardly know if you're talking to them. It's really strange how
you're talking to me. I'm in a bubble of confusion right now.
Yeah.
Did you say something? You know,
I'm sorry. The mask makes me where I can't understand social norms.
Well, see, yesterday I was talking to somebody at Publix, and he was feeling horrible because he was asking for a price check, and he's like, "I'm sorry to make you all have to wait." Like, that's all we're doing these days.
Right.
And I made a comment like, "Hey, hey man, I completely understand." He didn't understand what I said because he didn't hear me, and I think he assumed I was making a snide comment about having to wait, and I wasn't.
And he can't see if you're smiling or anything, so
I was smiling, but he couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So he might have thought I was doing a sinister maniacal. I don't know, but he, so it caused me to go, yeah, man. I found that I read lips a lot because I'm struggling, and he's just looking at me like, you're an idiot. So because he was not getting any of the feedback that we normally do. So what's been neat is we could all just sit here and go, we're just going to wait.
Yeah, not going to do anything.
And so it's been neat to see how the congregation has jumped on board, and I'm just so thrilled to be along for the ride. And isn't that powerful to see when you have an eldership that is shepherding a flock of God? You see the blessings that God can provide. When you have a flock that wants to help, but they just don't know how, and you provide content from what an elder has said, it just creates it, Yeah. And it's just encouraging, So I've needed these just as much as everybody.
Yeah. So, and I've needed them too. Let me just say that, and I've really appreciated them as well. Anytime you put anything out on the internet, right, you're gonna have the naysayers, and maybe and my experience is I've seen a lot more positive comments than negative, but there's clearly that potential. Have you had to deal with anything like that, and how have you
Well,
dealt with it if you have?
when you have a naysayer, turn it into a morning message with a horse, and that's all you need. Nay, you're right, okay, it was bad. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that stop horsing around. So, but you're gonna get content, or sorry, you're gonna have comments from your comment that are negative. I mean, I had one that I didn't find it to be negative. He even said, "Please know I'm not trying to be negative."
Yeah.
But I did one about a turtle, and I said, "Don't be a turtle, be kind." And I was really trying to make sure that it was talking about how a turtle has only room for one in his home. And I said, home is where the heart is, so make sure that you don't have room for one in your heart. And I'm saying, don't be a turtle, be kind. And he then sent me a message that turtles actually, they're made by God to be able to turn over when they fall over. In the video, I have a turtle upside down trying to move over. And he was trying to say, God's made them to where they don't need someone else to get, to turn them over.
I see.
But then he said this was not a negative. This was, this. I said, and I wrote in. I said, this is take two. I said, thank you, fantastic. So we're getting feedback from it of just, hey, let's expound on it. There was one, and again, some of them I can't see the comments from others who've shared it because I don't know them.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I've seen from someone who shared one, I didn't know the person, but I was saying, be kind to those who are on the edge. It was on the edge of a waterfall behind me. And this person just said, you can't be kind to these people. They're just evil and they're out to kill us. And I just didn't even respond. I didn't even comment on it, but he was the only person since March that I've seen any negative
good
content.
Right.
Any comment so far.
Great.
So, but that doesn't mean that they're not there or that I just didn't see them.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So, but I think what's neat about it is the be kind. We kind of chanced upon something that I think is very relevant right now.
Yes.
That we didn't realize was going to be as relevant because of, it's an election year and, all the way up to the ridiculous amount of politics, the ridiculous amount of unrest in our nation.
Yes.
Again, it's the providence of God here because it's, and so I've seen every time because, this has all been gradually changing and it's trying to figure out what needs to gradually change. Does the content need to change? Do we need to change the topic? Well, because of everything that's changed, I thought, you know what? That we need to keep be kind. That's not going to change. And so that's why it hasn't. So I think because we're all wanting to be kind, it doesn't matter what side of whatever politics it is, what doesn't matter where you're from, we want people to be kind.
That is sort of a universal language. I mean, it's got a universal appeal. Yeah.
So we've just kind of happened upon it. And I really do think that's caused people to go, hey, that's neat. And what's really been powerful with it, see, I've heard, let's see, I did get a comment that I kind of shuddered with. And it wasn't a negative one. He was saying it to be positive. He said, and this is personal. He told me personally. He said, this is what preaching needs to be.
Okay.
He said, this is the length we need in our sermons. It was my neighbor. And, but again, all my neighbors are watching them. In fact, my neighbors have even said, my neighbor's got a bobcat. He's got one. We're going to talk about what's on your bucket list. I'm going to be sitting in the bucket. I'm excited.
That's fantastic.
So this is getting my neighbors involved. Like this, It's been fantastic. Anyway. Yeah. But one of my neighbors is like, this is the length we need for our sermons. Well, I disagree.
Right.
But I'm still doing short lessons, and that goes back to we need to know our audience. On social media, that's not the time for for a morning message, right? It needs to be short. Yeah. And what I've found has been a blessing is we've had people share the morning messages that I haven't known, who have now started sharing our sermons, our worship services.
Oh, great.
So what does that? It tells me that it's been what did you say before? You mentioned something. We need to remember this word.
Yeah,
It has been.
I don't remember it now.
Okay, sometimes people come into a church building, and if they're unchurched, for lack of a better term, there's a fear. We redid our bathrooms, and one of the workers was not a Christian, and it was late, and we were about to leave, and all the lights were off, and I was in here, and he was walking past and saw our secretary as they were coming out, and he jumped out of his skin. And he goes, "Oh," he said, "Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't know that anyone was here." He said, "I was walking back past the sanctuary, and that is creepy." He said, "It scares me in here. I'm afraid in here." Wow. When I heard him say it as a grown man, that tells me he has a bias concerning being in a building. And I think there's a lot of people who have that same bias that wouldn't spend the time to sit there through a full sermon. But these have been lighthearted, and it's getting people who probably wouldn't normally talk about the Bible to be talking about the Bible.
Lowering the barrier to entry. That's what we said before the show.
Lowering the barrier to entry. Exactly. And so what I found is these little ones it's also lowered the arms. For those on the podcast, I put my arms together. It's lowered people's guard.
Yeah.
Concerning that, and because I think it's resonated, it's also helped people see. Wait, the Bible is handling this. Wow, hadn't even noticed that. Two are better than one. What? Like, wow. So I really do think that it has its place, but I don't think it should replace our sermon times. And so again, I think knowing your audience and knowing your time, that's what Paul did. Paul was able, he went to the synagogues everywhere he went on his missionary journeys. But in Acts 17, he didn't go with, Father Abraham or Moses.
Yeah.
He went to their poets concerning Zeus, in Acts 17. He's willing to accommodate. That's what the parables of Jesus were, to accommodate a stiff-necked and dull of heart crowd, so that he said a story and then immediately gives a punchline that causes it to resonate rather than them closing their ears. And so I think we're in a society like that. Jesus did it. Paul did it. If we're willing to accommodate the way we give the message, but don't accommodate or compromise Scripture, that is the key. And it's hard to find that. It's hard to do that. Yeah. But if we can, that's what we got to strive to do.
Lots of really great stuff that we've been discussing here around the topic of creating digital content. We will wrap up in just a moment, and Richard, I'll give you an opportunity if you just want to wrap up anything or give any final thoughts or a challenge to us or anything along those lines. I've been taking copious notes as Richard has been speaking today, and so I have a link to his article on healthychristianhome.com, 30 Bible verses about kindness. You can find that in our show notes, thelightnetwork.tv. Look for Preachers in Training, Season 12, Episode 2. We're also going to put a link in the show notes to the Deerfoot Church of Christ Facebook page, so you can see some of those videos, as well as the website that was mentioned a minute ago, Kapwing, KAPWING.com. If you're interested in checking that out, remember that Richard has come around to iMovie and since, but want you to know that will be there on our website. If you enjoy this podcast, we'd love for you to help us spread the word about it. It's not about us. It's about the content we're seeking to create. And if you enjoy Preachers in Training, there's a good chance you'll probably enjoy something else that's available from our network of podcasts called The Light Network, which exists to encourage your soul, enlighten your mind, and empower your faith. There's 10 to 12 episodes that release every week, and so be sure you go and check those out. You can also find all of our podcasts, including this one in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. So just search for The Light Network or the specific show that you like, Preachers in Training as an example, and that'll be a great way for you to never miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button. We're on YouTube as well. Search for The Light Network on YouTube. There's also a link in our show notes to that. you can see, in addition to, so you know what the arm thing meant, or you can see the staff that Richard showed us a moment ago with the eagle on the top. So be sure to check that out if you are so inclined. There are a lot more videos that are releasing every week on our YouTube channel as well, so we want you to be aware of that. I'd love to hear from you. Preachers@thelightnetwork.tv is my email address. I want to hear your questions, comments, episode suggestions. And we also have a Facebook group. It's a private group just to keep the conversation focused on preaching and ministry. But search on Facebook for Preachers in Training, and we'd be happy for you to be a part of that discussion. Season 12, Episode 2 of Preachers in Training, we're talking about producing digital content. And Richard, wow, over the last, I cannot believe it's been a 55-minute conversation so far.
55 minutes.
It's gone by really fast. I'm not complaining at all. I'm very thankful for it. So much good stuff here and a lot of practical takeaways.
Well, I'm sure people are going to go, how has he just limited them to a minute and a half? With the
we don't believe that you can do it. No, it's fine.
I don't think you can do that. I don't believe it.
What are some parting words that we need to sort of leave us with today? Or what do you want to wrap up with?
I think for this being Preachers in Training, I want to encourage you guys, I think it comes down to, then the disciples came and said to Jesus, why do you speak to them in parables? And he answered them, to you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. The onus is on us to try to give that gospel message to others. That's why Jesus spoke in parables. And so use the content that you create to get the message across. And if it means using puns, you can accommodate your audience, but not compromise scripture. Yeah. Paul said, to those without law, I became as without law, but not being myself without the law of Christ, or remaining under the law of Christ, right? So becoming all things to all men, that by all means we might save some. We realize that our content's not going to resonate for everyone, but for those that it does, may we strive to let our light so shine before men that they may see our good works and give glory to our Father who is in heaven. That is the ultimate goal. And I think that's a great passage to end on with the Light Network. So
yes, I love the way you tied all that in there together. That's fantastic.
Well, I'm again honored. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. Brother.
Well, thanks for
all you're doing.
Thank you for being on. You can find more about Richard or the Deerfoot congregation, Deerfoot Church of Christ. You can find them on social media. We got a link in the show notes there. We'll put a link to their church website as well, so you can find out more about them. And if you're ever in the Birmingham area, check them out, right? I know you guys would be happy to see them.
We would love to have y'all, for sure.
That's great. Well, listen, we are grateful for you listening and being a part of this episode today. Thank you so much for being a part of Preachers in Training. Brand new episodes release every Thursday from thelightnetwork.tv, and so we would love for you to join us next week. More content coming at that time. Until then, thanks for joining me today. I'm Robert Hatfield. Let's go preach the word.